Okay, so let's finish up, really finish up our last discussion of the awakening. One of the things I wanted to stress was that scene from the 28th of August where she went swimming and the connection to Walt Whitman's Song of Myself, and that was in the first part of the video webcast that I recorded. And now I wanted to just finish up by concentrating on this scene where we had wound up in class last Tuesday, which is the scene in which Edna has finally sort of think about where she's at in this moment when Robert finally comes back, and she finds him in the house of Mademoiselle Reese, which is quite appropriate. And at this point in the novel, Edna has had her 29th birthday. She's moved into the pigeon house. She's finally, and that night, appropriately, Robon spent the night with her. So she's consummated that after she's kind of come to grips with the fact that when they kissed, it wasn't the cup of love, but it was the cup of desire that brought them together, and all that sort of stuff has gone on. And so she's awoken to some sort of sense of desire. But in this case, she has ended with Robert in the house with Mademoiselle Reese, and she brings him back to the pigeon house. And she says, "I love you, only you, no one but you. It was you who awoke me last summer out of a life of long, stupid dream. Oh, you have made me so unhappy with your indifference. Oh, I have suffered, suffered. Now you are here. We shall love each other, my Robert." So the love, love, love issue, right? Um, don't go, Edna, stay with me, he pleaded. Why should you go? Stay with me, stay with me. I shall come back as soon as I can. I shall find you here. She buried her face in his neck and said goodbye again. Her seductive voice, together with his great love for her, had enthralled her senses, had deprived him of every impulse but the longing to hold and to keep her. So what I'm suggesting in this reading is that there's some question about what this thing love is, if it exists at all. And so her we saw with the allusion to the Walt Whitman poem, a romantic sort of desire, the 29th bathers longing to be with the men. What does that mean? We see it with her kiss of a Robon, and then eventually she cries a little bit because she thought it was love, but it's desire. If she can go off with this man and this man, she can go off with anybody, right? Um, and so and so the question at this point, she is really clinging to Robert as this last sort of hope for the idea that maybe there's something deeper to all this than just biology. But then she ironically is interrupted by this scene of going to Madame Ratignolle's birth scene. And so here we have it is chapter 37. Edna began to feel uneasy. She was seized with a vague dread. Her own life experiences seemed far away. It's not very romantic, not very motherly here, is it right? She recalled faintly an ecstasy of pain, the heavy odor of chloroform, a stupor which had deadened into sensation, and an awakening to find a little new life to which she had given being, added to the great unnumbered multitude of souls that come and go. That suggests that kind of sort of Darwinian reality. We're just organisms that are reproducing further organisms, the great unnumbered multitude. It sort of constricts and goes against that mother woman idea as well. She began to wish she had not come. Her presence was not necessary. She might have invented a pretext staying away. She might even invent a pretext now for going. But Edna did not go. With an inward agony, with a flaming outspoken revolt against the ways of nature with a capital N, she witnessed the scene of torture. Childbirth. Edna grew faint when she read the words. She went, oh, I'm sorry, I skipped too far. She was still stunned and speechless when later she leaned over her friend to kiss her and softly say goodbye. Adele, pressing her cheek, whispered in an exhausting voice, "Think of the children, Edna. Oh, think of the children. Remember, well, what about the children? Robert, she hopes, is waiting at home. Love is waiting at home. Or is it something else?" Well, she is stunned. She is stunned by this scene. And the doctor, remember the doctor who we said is an image of Darwin in many ways, sees that she is the kind of person he can confide in. So he says to her, he says, "You shouldn't have been there, Miss Pontellier. There was no place for you. Adele is full of whims. I felt it was cruel, cruel you shouldn't have gone." "Oh, well," she answered indifferently. I don't know that it matters after all. One has to think of the children sometime or another. The sooner the better. What does that mean? Think of the children. When is Lyon's coming back? Quite soon, sometime in March. Are you going abroad? Perhaps. No, I'm not going. I'm not going to be forced into doing things I don't want to go abroad. I want to be let alone. Nobody has any right except the children, perhaps. And even then, it seems to me, or it did seem, see how she's flaying around here? She felt that her speech was voicing an incoherency of her thoughts, and she stopped abruptly. The trouble is, sighed the doctor, grasping her meaning intuitively. This sort of stumbling, kind of, what does it mean? What does it all mean? Why should I stay with Lyons? Why should I go off with Robert? The trouble is, sighed the doctor, that youth is given up to illusions. Remember, her youth was given up to the illusion of the cavalry officer, this romantic image of the tragedian in the photograph. And then she marries Lyons, right? So those romantic views of childhood. And Mandelet has it here. He says, youth is given up to illusions. It seems to be a provision of nature, a decoy to secure mothers for the race. You see that? Isn't that a weird line to appear in a novel? Chopin is working this naturalistic element really in here. If love is a decoy, it's a decoy. It makes you do one thing when you're thinking you're doing another. So it makes you think you're falling in love. It makes you think that marriage is important. It makes you think this. It makes you think that. But at the end of the day, it's things we tell ourselves as humans to sort of cloud over or cover over our animalistic natures. And the real point of it all is to have children, to reproduce, to perpetuate the race. So nature is a decoy to secure mothers for the race. And if you're holding out for love, it may not be there, and you're going to be disappointed. Nature takes no account of moral consequences of arbitrary conditions which we create and which we feel obliged to maintain at any cost. Yes, she said, the years are gone that are gone seem like dreams. If one might go on sleeping, in a book called The Awakening, if one might go on sleeping and dreaming, but to wake up and find, and then a dash, oh well, what does she find? What does she wake up to find? That's the question of the novel. Perhaps it is better to wake up after all, even to suffer, rather than to remain a dupe to illusions all one's life. So if you wake up to this reality that maybe, let's say, there is no love, at this point she's maybe still holding out hope that she can be with Robert and they can at least be together. But even that's going to go away because he is still not awoken fully and he can't embrace a world where you just deal with the fact we're animals. Let's be animalistic together. No, she says, it may be better to wake up. It seems to me, my dear child, said the doctor in parting, holding her hand, you seem to be in some trouble. I'm not going to ask for your confidence. I will only say that if you ever feel moved to give it to me, perhaps I might help you. I know I would understand, and I would tell you there are not many who would. Not many, my dear. We're in a small group of people, he's saying, who really grasp the world scientifically, who really understand what's going on here. Some way I don't feel moved to speak of things that trouble me, says Edna. Don't think I'm ungrateful or that I don't appreciate your sympathy. There are periods of despondency and suffering which take possession of me, but I don't want anything but my own way. That is wanting a good deal, of course, when you have to trample upon the lives, the hearts, the prejudices of others, but no matter, still, I shouldn't want to trample on the little lives. Oh, I don't know what I'm saying, doctor. Good night. Don't blame me for anything. Yes, I will blame you if you don't come and see me soon. We will talk of things you've never dreamed of talking about before. It will do us both good. I don't want you to blame yourself, whatever comes. Good night, my child. And as she walks back to the pigeon house, she's thinking of Robert, right? She says she went back to that hour before Adele had sent for her, and her senses kindled afresh in thinking of Robert's words, the pressure of his arms, and the feeling of his lips upon her own. She could picture at that moment no greater bliss on earth than possession of the beloved one. His expression of love had already given him to her in part. When she thought that he was there at hand waiting for her, she grew numb with intoxication of expectancy. It was so late he would be asleep perhaps. She would awaken him with a kiss. She hoped he would be asleep that she might arouse him with her caresses. Wow. Still she remembered Adele's voice whispering, think of the children, think of them. She meant to think of them. That determination had driven her soul like a death wound, but not tonight. Tomorrow would be a time to think of everything. But Robert was not there. He wrote a note to her. I love you, goodbye, because I love you. Edna grew faint when she read the words. She went and sat on the sofa. Then she stretched herself out there, never uttering a sound. She did not sleep. She did not go to bed. The lamp sputtered and went out. She was still awake in the morning when Celestine unlocked the kitchen door and came in to light the fire. So she doesn't even go to sleep. And then the last scene is where she goes off to Grand Island and winds up killing herself. So let me finish up our discussion of the awakening by pointing back to Bert Bender's book and an article that is actually posted in your lessons area for today. The Teeth of Desire is the article he wrote, and part of it's contained in this book. And here is where he talks about the pigeons. And I had said I would share this with you in class. So in this part of the reading, and it's towards the end of the document, it's having a little bit of trouble loading on the screen there. But this is where Bender makes this argument that Edna has awoken to the kiss of Erebon, and that it's a beauty and brutality. She's awoken to the sense of what it's really about. It's about desire, but she doesn't regret it. And this is what Bender says: but far from denying this regrettable reality, Edna enters bravely. So it's at the end of this article here. Edna enters bravely and immediately into her own sexual independence by moving out of the family home into her own pigeon house. In creating Edna's pigeon house, Chopin refers to Darwin's theory of sexual selection as explicitly as she had in earlier references to the law of battle, the role of music in sexual selection, the relevance of our canine teeth, or the laws of inheritance. Scarcely a merely eccentric name for Edna's new dwelling after the coup d'etat, Pigeon House is an emphatic reference to the triumphant female pigeons Darwin describes in Chopin's favorite chapter, chapter 14 of The Descent of Man, creatures who, like Edna, quote, occasionally feel a strong antipathy toward certain males and preference for certain other males without any assignable cause. Quoting a French study, Darwin tells how when a female pigeon experiences an antipathy for a male, nothing can cause her to submit to him, neither the male's flaming desire nor the inducements the breeder might give her. She constantly refuses his caresses, even if confined with him for a year, sulking in corners of her prison and coming out only to eat or drink, and if he forces his affections, she will repel him in a rage. On the other hand, Darwin notes, some females will desert their mates if they take a strong fancy for another, or some are even so profligate that they prefer almost any stranger to their own mate. Edna's birthday party is a ritual, this is Bender arguing, Edna's birthday party is a ritual celebration of her entry into the modern sexual reality that Whitman's woman, the 29th bather, could not have known when he created her in 1855. Edna selected her guests with discrimination, and Victor, a graven image of desire, is among them. When she tries to stop him from singing Robert's love song, Ah, si tu savais, placing her hand over his mouth, the touch of his lips was like a pleasing sting. Thus, when Robert returns unexpectedly, she will quickly see that the love she had imagined is now impossibly complicated with all the strife even pigeons know in the arena of sexual selection. And that's how you bring sort of a naturalistic reading into it. Is it go too far? I don't know. I think it's interesting. I think Bender makes an interesting point, and it does bring some point to the use of the term pigeon in the pigeon house. And at the end of the essay, he writes here, Edna is now fully awake to her new reality. Today it is a Robon, she tells herself, and tomorrow it will be someone else. This is in chapter 39. Her desire, like the passion she had felt at the musical performance that night when she was 28, will rise and fall, lashing her soul as the waves daily beat upon her splendid body. She knows that the sense of her absolute isolation as a solitary soul will descend inevitably when she forgets even Robert. She will find no peace until she feels the soft, close embrace of the sea, her true element. And in the despair, she sees her children as antagonists, for they are nature's cause in natural and sexual selection, the force within herself by which love's wing was broken. And that's how Bender ends his essay. And so I think that's a really interesting take on this. And I like the fact that Chopin is perhaps really making these direct allusions to some of the science, some of the deeper sort of philosophy and theory of the day. And if the world really is driven less by love and more by lust and desire and animalistic sort of drives, what does that leave us? How do we make our lives going forward? And that's what I think Chopin was trying to work with. Okay, thanks for listening.